Okay, hello everyone. I'm gonna try something different here because there's a lot of downloads that people have to wait for, and a lot of things where people are just waiting on their computer to do something. I'm actually gonna try just recording this ahead of time, and then the what would normally be the meeting time will just be basically me standing by to answer, questions quickly. So today we're gonna set up a development environment. Hopefully, if you're watching this, you have access to a Windows or Linux or Mac based computer. The instructions here are going to be primarily on Windows because I have no idea what you do on Mac. And uh, I assume if you know Linux, I'm going to explain the things that you need to install. But if you're enterprising enough to run Linux, you probably know how to install stuff if I say, go install it. Plus, the whole you can check it with the whole first community and see how to install things for Linux because I'm sure you're not the only one running Linux in the FRC community. So downloads, there's links here, but what I'm actually going to recommend that you do is I shared with you somewhere on our Google Drive materials, roles, that this. So I got all the downloads ready. If you want to see where they're at for either just knowing purposes or whatever, check the link that was in the PowerPoint. But these should be shared with everyone, and thus, but it should be available to you. If it's not, go bother Coach Willems on Slack or GroupMe or send an email to robotics@smithfield.k12.mo.us saying, hey, I don't have access to the downloads. So what you're going to want to do is download one of these zip files that is appropriate for your development environment. Most of you probably Windows, though I know at least one of you are going to be trying this on Linux. You want to download that, and then you're going to want to extract that. So let me I have all these downloads that are here are already what's in this, but just for showing what's going on sake, extract that, and it'll take a moment, and we'll come back when that's extracted. All right, and we're back. And so that extracted, I had the check mark, so this came up. So the first thing we're going to do is install the FRC game tools. So what you're going to want to do is go to NIFRC game tools 2020 20.0.1._offline. What you're going to do is want to right click and mount it, then install. It's going to determine some license agreements. You're going to want to accept and disable Windows Fast Startup. As annoying as it is, okay. And let this run. Okay, so that ran and completed. You should have But wait, there's more. Okay. Yeah, certificates installer, you want that. Accept these. All right. So NI is going to ask for your user account. And we're not really using LabVIEW, so we don't really need any serial codes. So this is going to make you reboot to complete the installation. So yeah, back when the device is booted back up. All right, so you should now have RoboRio imaging tool and FRC driver station on your desktop. This would allow you to completely factory reset a RoboRio, and this would allow you to drive the robot, provided you plug in controllers and everything and connect to the robot. So I'm going to go back to version 21 Windows folder. And so the next thing we're going to do is we're going to run the FRC radio configuration. So what we're going to do is we're going to extract this FRC radio configuration 2000. Going to come up here. We're going to run that info, run anyway, and all the defaults are fine. It'll launch the npcap installer. The default is also fine. And so the FRC radio configuration tool is how we set up the router on the robot for our home use. And then there's a special version that we use at competition that we don't have on our local computers. So now we can image a RoboRio, we can drive the robot, we can configure the radio on the robot. The next thing is to run the WPILib installer, which is the big one. So WPILib Windows Win642131. We're going to mount this drive and run the WPILib installer. So first thing you're going to do is when you get in here, you're going to run download VS Code for single install. Next. And yeah, you pretty much want all of this stuff. And then I'd say if you're okay with other people being able to, have an account on your computer, hit install for all users. If you're not okay with that, hit install for this users. I have exclusive access to all my machines, so I usually just go for install for all users. So that will run and come back if it comes up with anything. All right, so that installed, just came up with a finish, and we're okay with finishing that. So we click that and continue. So for Windows, you have to install Git manually. It doesn't come with the OS, isn't just something that you have on Windows without installing it. Run this git -2.33.0.2-64-bit. Now, for Linux users, you can just use your favorite package manager, and whether that's Pacman, apt-get, whatever, and just install it by just saying install. However, you just say install blah for that package manager. For example, sudo apt-get install git. would work fine. But again, I'm sure if you know Linux, you know how to do that. So we're going to run this, and all the default options for our purposes are fine. Git is incredibly configurable, but we're not going to do any of that here. Yeah. Oh wait, all the defaults are fine, but I'd also recommend just adding a check here for check daily for Git for Windows updates. Good idea. Vim is fine. Let Git. So it will install Git on Windows. All right. So Git's been installed. Hit finish here. There's some more configuration that we might do later, but for now, for our Windows using students, we need to install the Rev hardware client. That is just that's how we configure various control system components. We're gonna run this. Defaults are fine. Yep, we want to install that driver. And we don't really want to run that right now. So yeah, that was fairly simple for Rev stuff. Okay, well, I'm missing a slide. But so the CTRE Phoenix framework, I'm gonna right click and run as that as administrator. So C++, C sharp. If there's a $50 board that if you're really interested in robotics, you can go buy, but you know, if you're buying that, then you know you need it. Here SDK 4.4 version license. Yeah, it's all fine. Let it install. Yeah, we don't really want to view release notes. Okay, so everything's installed, for the most part, but there's this website, github.com, and it's where our code is stored in the cloud. What you need to do is, if you don't already have an account, you need to sign up. Password. Yeah. Let's try puzzle. So yeah, it's going to send you an email. You're going to want to check your email for the verification code sent by GitHub and then sign into your account. So now that you have your account, you'll want to do a search for infinite recharge 1806. There's two repositories here. One is some vision code that I never really got to try on the robot. Here is our Java code for our robot. What I do, hit clone, copy. Then what you're going to want to do is open up documents. You can do right click and git bash here. Or if you prefer, there's a git GUI. So if you're on command line, what you're going to do is you're going to hit go git clone. And you're going to right click and paste. And that will download our code from the internet. But if you're on the GUI, you're going to hit clone, Control V to paste. And then you have to manually specify so you may have to manually create the directory. Yep. And then hit clone. It already exists. So you have to create the directory and then delete it, because this GUI is great. I actually personally just do everything from the command line because it's just honestly easier. So what you want to do equals, you want to type that in to the command line equals, and then type in your email address. Oh, except that's actually not what you want to do. You want to do your username, not your email. And then you want to hold on. Okay, so if you accidentally set something like I just did, git. So you just type git config. It gives you the usage. What you actually want to do is you want to use this unset. So git config global dash dash unset. Valid key. No. okay, that add user.name, log example. And then you do add another. Oh yeah, and so to get back to the like previous command, I'm just hitting the up key. Now go in here. So I'm going to CD to infinite recharge 1806. I hit tab there to select that folder. And you can see in the git bash, it actually says master here. That's a branch name in those parentheses is how you know you're in a Git repository. What I'm going to do is now I'm going to do git checkout-b, which creates a branch, test branch example. Then I'm going to git push. Now, this is the common thing. When you create a branch, it comes up with fatal. The current branch test example has no string branch, and yeah. You just want to do this. Hit right click, copy it, and paste it. The long and short of it is, while that command really should work, this account doesn't have access to the Git repository, and I needed to add it. Unfortunately, I also forgot the sign-in information for that account, and I'll have to recover it later. But just due to time constraints, we're gonna fast forward to me on my personal main account that already has access. When you try to push your branch, it will means you need to get access to the repository. Now, apparently, I forgot my password when I set that example account up. And in lieu of that, what I'm going to do the same thing, but on right. Okay. All right. So yeah, we're on my bare metal machine where I'm actually signed in and I'm on a different branch. But if I do git check out the test branch, switching to a new branch, test branch, which will be based on dev, git push, it will give me the complaint and tell me to set an upstream origin. So if you're properly signed in, it should do that. Then if we go back to the VM, and if we go back to the VM, you can do refresh here, and you can see that test branch showed up. It means that you can commit to the repository. So now that you have access to code, you have access to Git, you have everything installed, you'd be able to open this up, open folder, documents. That should open up our robot project. It says it's not compatible with this version of the extension. Okay, so when doing anything on that branch, it was very, very busted because our master branch just doesn't work. I'm going to show you how to switch over to the dev branch, and once that happens, we should be in a much better place. Um, but if there's, confusion there, just, ask me questions. So notice how all that was completely busted. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open up a git bash. I'm going to do git checkout dev. So when something like that comes up and I don't care about the changes, I'm just going to do git stash, which effectively gets rid of the changes for our purposes. Source test. I'm going to go delete this, go back. Now we're going to try this again. Also, there's some git GUI bits in here. We're going to try building again. Because we changed branches, we need to build. If you're having trouble figuring out how to build, just hit the little W icon and then start typing in build. It should say something like build robot code. You can ignore that for now. Run the unit test again. I don't know if the desktop simulator works if you are on Linux, but I yeah, the daemon's got an issue. I don't know why it does, but if the simulator will work, crashing. Yeah, okay. This is more what I was expecting to see. Here's all our Spark Maxes, rev color sensors, and the robot is running. Now it's complaining a lot because it's not actually hooked up to a real robot, but this is our code running on your computer. What I want everyone to do, because this is a video lesson, I don't get to see, who is around and who's actually paying attention. I want you to go into robot.java, in source, main, Java, com, team 1806, FRC 2020, robot.java. I want you to go up here to robot init. I want you to type at the beginning out.println. Hi, I'm I want you to type right here in robot init. So this is a function. It is what runs at when the robot starts up. I want you to type system out.println. This is the robot initializing. Also, I'm your name. So you'll see this message pop up once when the robot's booting up. What I also want you to do, go down here to teleop init, type system out print line. The robot is switching to teleop mode. Also, I'm what I want you to do is to save. I just hit Control S to save there. And then run. Gonna compile. Then it's going to get you into simulator again. A bunch of errors are going to pop up, and that's fine. And it's not great, but you roll up at some point. We'll see. Is that we didn't build our code. What needs to happen is build. Gonna rerun our unit tests. And it's just that daemon message again. Should be able to simulate. Do it on desktop. UI. I'm cutting out a lot of troubleshooting that went nowhere, but after running it a few times, the messages started showing up in the console. I probably forgot to save or something. Hey, so it didn't take the update, but eventually, after trying it a few times, it showed up here. It, hard to see because it was in the middle of a crash attack, and also our robot spits out just entirely too much. garbage. But actually, what I would recommend doing to see that your print line worked better is to go to teleop, disable teleop, and then kill it. You should be able to do is scroll through, and somewhere in here, oh, robot is switching to teleop mode. Hi, I'm your name. So yeah, the init functions here are just like the functions that run once at the start. For example, if you put it in teleop periodic, somewhere in there. If you put a message in teleop periodic, let's see if just hitting simulate will get it. Extension and ah ah yeah, that's what we've accomplished today. We've made a robot that screams silently. It has no mouth and it must scream. But that lets you kind of see what these functions do and when they get run, hopefully a little bit. Not all of them. We'll kind of get on that more probably either in an in-person meeting or when we're either like actually messing with the robot or otherwise. But yeah, you now have access to our code and I guess if you want, get to work on stuff.